Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Down to Earth Astronomy. We're once again playing Fractured Space, and this time we're taking a quick look at the Protector. The Protector is, as the name suggests, a ship that focuses on protecting other ships. So it's a logistic ship that focuses on repair and to try and keep your friendly ships alive, which also is shown here. As you can see, it has a very high utility rating, the defense is mediocre, and the damage output is not really that great. But let's go ahead and take a look at the loadout of the ship before we go into some actual combat. So here we have the loadout screen. This being a ship from the Titan defense system. This of course has the smart gun fitted that we know from the Sentinel. The smart gun being the guns that fire these small tracking shots that will actually home in on the target, which means you can use it to shoot around or over obstacles if you need it, if you're hiding behind something, which you often will be in the Protector. The main gun comes in 3 variants. That's the standard one, fairly fast reload, only 3.5 seconds, 10 shots per volley, and a decent range of 12 kilometers. You can also have the pulse smart gun, faster rate of fire, but lower damage, but you get some increased tracking, so you have easier time tracking the fast moving targets. You also have the heavy smart gun, which is of course the other way, where you get longer reload, more damage per shot, but you reduce the tracking, so you have a harder time hitting small targets. But if you're shooting at large, slow targets, this is pretty much an ideal weapon. So again, it's a matter of taste, which one you like most. But the gun is not really the main feature of the Protector. The main feature is really its repair beam. And the repair beam also comes in 3 variants. It has the standard one, which has a range of 17.5 kilometers that repairs approximately 18% of the enemy's hull, with a base cooldown of 18 seconds. You can also go get the repair pulse beam. It has the same range, but it only repairs approximately 7%, but you have a reduced cooldown. So this, if you use the repair one, you can more easily spread out your repair amongst the different targets if you're trying to keep several people alive. Whereas when using this one, you gain a longer reload, which means you gain more time to orientate around yourself, figure out what to do, where to go, and also maybe get a chance to fire off your guns once in a while you wait for this cooldown. So again, it's a matter of choice which you go for. And then the final one is the repair near beam, that repairs 23%, still only 18% cooldown, same as the stock one, but you get a reduced range for only 7.5 kilometers, so you lose 10 kilometer range. That's a lot, especially considering that this ship does not have a lot of armor, so and does not have a lot of hit points, so ideally you do not want to get shot by this ship. So using this, you really rely on cover and your ability to stay out of line of sight of the enemy ships when you use this. But again, you can repair your friendlies quite fast using this. While we're at the repair beam, I should also say this repair beam can also do damage to the enemy ships. So if you're in a situation where you absolutely need to kill someone and he's at a sliver of health, you can fire off your repair beam to take him down if you need it. It doesn't do that much damage. It's not like you can fire this to do 23% damage. It does a very minimal amount of damage, but you can use it in emergencies. Then we have some defensive abilities or utilities. You can either have a defense field or you can have a defense bubble. The defense field is essentially a shield focused or centered on the Protector that has a radius of 3.5 kilometers, and it reduces all incoming damage for 50%. There's a duration of 20 seconds and 1 minute cooldown. The radius, that means that you can actually have your friendly ships inside this field as well. If you are hawking the friendly ship, he will gain the benefit from your shield as well. So you can actually, if you're very close, use this to shield your friendlies. Of course, this will go very well with the near beam, but again, that means that since you can only have a 33% uptime on this shield, you do need to still rely on cover because you cannot keep this up at all times. The defense bubble has a larger radius, but it is a stationary bubble that you fire out in front of your ship. So you could maybe use that if, again, you're very close to your enemy, or to your friends. You could use that to go up, fire the bubble ahead of you, so he will hopefully be inside it, and then dive down behind cover again. But again, it's a matter of choice. I personally prefer the defense field, but again, you might like the other one. Then it has some more utilities, and this is some disabling abilities. You can either have aim and fire ability that disables the enemy's utility. So that would be my shield, and these abilities and my drones would be disabled for 15 seconds with a 1 minute cooldown and a 12-kilometer range. I'm gonna jump here to these torpedoes because they're very similar. They would disable the abilities as well, the utilities as well, for only 10 seconds. So you have a shorter disable of the abilities and a longer cooldown. And the torpedoes are very slow, only fly 4 kilometers a second. But again, you do get a little bit extra damage by using the torpedoes. So if you want to get a little bit more damage, you can use those. The final one you have is the disarm. Long range, 15-kilometer range. It only affects the target for 6 seconds, but it shuts down their weapons, so they are unable to use your weapons. Use their weapons for 6 seconds, and with a 45 seconds cooldown, I think this is a very strong utility. I prefer to use this simply because it allows you to both defend yourself as a defensive ability. If you're getting attacked, you can fire that, and if you can get your shield up as well, just after that runs out, that should give you enough time to jump out, and especially with the Protector's very fast jump animation, you can very quickly relocate. But you could also use it in a more offensive way to disable enemy guns when they are firing at your friendlies, to help them stay in the battle and give them the necessary damage for longer. And the final one are drones. You can fire or send towards your enemy, have a long range, 30 kilometers, so pretty much anything you can see. And then they will take energy from the target ship and transmit it back to the Protector, so you can steal their energy. So that's pretty much the ship, but let's go ahead and see how this ship performs in some real combat.
And we are go. Right off the bat, I normally hold back when I play the Protector, simply because I have often experienced that if I jump right at the beginning, sometimes people will just lemming train towards the side where the support ship goes. So in order to get a better spread of the team right off the bat, I normally hold back, and then I go to the sector where I feel like I can do the most help. So I decided to follow the Colossus simply because I feel like the Protector does well when it follows one of the larger, already heavily armored ships. Because that's when you really can prolong their life. With the lower hit point ships that have low defense, they can often be out damaged fairly well, especially here at the beginning of the fight. So that's why I often try to go and support one of the bigger ships. Now, we already spotted that many of the enemy ships are in the Alpha sector, so this is why I'm playing very aggressively. Normally I wouldn't move this far forward at this point of the battle, but it doesn't seem like there's anyone. We haven't seen any jump-in blinks or anything, so it seems pretty safe right now. I'm keeping a close eye on that Colossus because I want to keep him close, because he's what's going to keep me alive. So we go straight for the enemy forward station, and I use the end of the forward station here to try and shield me, because I expect they will be spawning on that side of the station if they jump in. So I try to shield myself from enemy fire if they were to jump in. The Colossus opens up on this sensor, and I try to give him some help just to get the sensor down and blinding their scanners in this sector. And there it goes. And we are almost done capturing this forward station, and the enemy team have just reached our forward station at Alpha. So they have a choice now that either they have to go home and protect the base, or they can press on and try to engage in our base. But we already have one ship back at base defending. So I decided to move forward. It seems like they also have a ship, but at the moment he seems to be AFK. I of course begin to take damage from the station because I was one of the first ships here. So I open up my shield to try and reduce as much of the incoming damage as I can until I can get into cover of the station itself. But I'm not able to completely get into cover, and I'm at very low health at this point. Try to get the last bit of cover, but unfortunately I was unable to, and the station actually ended up killing me. But we did manage to cap 6%. I'm not sure it was worth it. Maybe I should have held back a bit more there, trying to keep my distance. But anyway, we did get a few cap points, and the enemy have yet to begin capping our base. And now we see an enemy pioneer. Looks like he's jumping into the enemy base as well. So I'm spawning in again, and I decide to move back and try to support the base, trying to get the ships down. But it wasn't really needed. We already have someone at Alpha beginning to secure our home base, and we just, as I jumped in, removed the last ship from our home base. So everything looks good. We still have jump access to the enemy base. The enemy is at a full team. The last ship just respawned, and since we haven't seen any of them yet, they haven't begun to decap Beta. There it goes. There begins the decap. That means they've just left home base right now. So if we're lucky, we'll be able to jump to the home base and get some few extra cap points before they actually manage to cap it. 5 seconds left until we can jump, and there they secure it with 2 seconds left. So unfortunately we didn't manage to get into the base for a second time. But luckily for us, we have both the Enforcer and the friendly Colossus here. So I decided, yeah, now that we know that there are enemy ships in the sector, I play a lot more defensively. You can see I try to use the rocks here for cover to try to avoid some potential incoming fire. Now they're still at a very long range, so I shouldn't be in danger as of yet, but it's always a good idea to try and stay in cover as much as you can. The Colossus opens up on the enemy Colossus, and again I try to use the mining post here for cover, because ideally I really don't want to get shot at by that enemy Colossus. The friendly Colossus is doing okay right now, and the enemy Venture is now opening up at me. I fire a few shots over the top of the mining outpost, and then I try to get into cover to getting out of the line of fire from that Venture. I move up, try to get a few shots in at him, but as soon as he sees me, he of course begins to fire at me again. So I disable his weapon using my disarm ability, which reduces the incoming damage for a bit. Then that's when I noticed that my friendly Enforcer is at very low health. So I decided to take that few hit points that I would lose from staying up from the Venture and trying to keep the Enforcer alive. Unfortunately, it was too little, too late, and our friendly Enforcer is down. So now we just have the Colossus, and I'm getting ripped apart right now. My shield is still up, but I'm getting ripped apart by the Venture, and I'm desperately trying to get into some cover, getting some solid cover between me and the enemy Venture. Again, very low health right here, right now, and the enemy Colossus is taking, or the friendly Colossus is taking a lot of damage. I use my disable ability on the enemy Colossus to try and to remove his weapons. I try to repair the friendly Colossus, but it's too little, too late. At this point, I'm pretty much alone in the sector, and alone in the sector we have two friendly ships, but I'm at the wrong side of the enemy forces. If they turn around, I'm dead meat. So I use my jump home ability to get home, get the upgrades, get the repairs, so I'm ready to go back in. And this is a good time to get a good overview. We can see we have no ships at Alpha, and we have a few ships at Beta. While I'm repairing, I used my repair beam to get the Sentinel up and running. And now that my ship is fully repaired, it's time to move out again. We only have around 10 seconds until Gamma unlocks, so I decide to move to Gamma. As you saw there, I begin to turn my ship before I actually jump, because I wanted ideally to have my side, or at least preferably my rear, to the Gamma sector when I jump in, because I wanted to be able to get some distance in case a lot of enemies jumped in right at the sector was about to unlock. They do come in. They come in from actually 3 different directions, so I try to go inside the station here to try and shield me from as many ships as possible, while still being able to support my friendly ships. Colossus is taking minimal amount of damage right now, so I'm looking around for a suitable target that I can be able to hit. I don't really want to expose myself, so I stay down here in cover and I try to repair the Colossus, trying to keep him alive. The enemy Colossus tries to jump out. Maybe he thinks he can make it in time. Look there, that's the enemy protector trying to keep him alive. But we have 3 ships opening up fire at him. And there we go. Now I'm looking around trying to locate that enemy protector, and there he is. He's the last ship in the sector right now. And he cannot get out at this point. He's pretty much dead. I do what I can, spend the time trying to repair as many of the friendly ships as possible to make sure they are in as good shape as possible once we leave the Gamma sector in a little bit. The enemy protector goes down, and I hold back again a little, want to see where my friend and team are going so I know who I can support, and I jump to beta. Now notice again here, as I said, the jump speed for this ship is amazing. It jumps so fast. I mean, the time from when you click jump till it actually jumps is very short. We see the beam there from an enemy overseer, I think, hitting the friendly Colossus. There it is again, sniping at long range. A really good sniper that is. But we can quickly now, after we got a few upgrades, we can quickly repair our friendly Colossus. And again, we spot the enemy Colossus again. So we dive for cover, get behind that rock. We don't want to get shot at. Luckily, the enemy overseer does not seem to pay any attention to me at the moment. And I get a few repair shots in at the friendly enforcer. And now I should be good. Now I should be in cover. And this is really a good position to be in for the protector. Behind a rock, out of line of sight from the enemy. I try to repair the enforcer there, but he's out of range. But again, out of line of sight from the enemy, you can still see your friendly ships. You're able to provide logistics by repairing them, and ideally you should be able to also fire shots over the obstacles you are covered behind. I disabled the enemy Colossus here, disabled his weapons. I decided I wanted to focus a bit on the enemy protector to try and get him down, to prevent him from repairing. He was out of range, so that's why I decided to move forward. But luckily, looks like the Colossus got him. So now that when their logistics ship is down, that means we can begin focusing fire on other ships. You see a ship's target here a few times because I tried to keep my focus on the same target as my friendly ships are. They're currently focusing the Colossus, so I do the same. While still, when my repair beam is ready, I repair any damaged ship from my friendly team that I can see. And I really think it's more important that you keep your friendly ships alive than it is that you do damage, because they will do way more damage than you do. So you are actually doing a lot more keeping them alive than trying to do the damage yourself. Of course, you can do the damage when you have nothing else to do, like when your beam is on cooldown. But as you progress later and later into the game, the cooldown should reduce, and you can actually get that beam off fairly quickly again. So the Colossus goes down, and that just leaves the enemy protector, who has respawned and comes back in. Unfortunately for him, again, too late for him. And at this point, I mean, there's just nothing he can do. Try to keep as many ships alive here, and as soon as he's down, I jump home because we have our enemy ship at home base, and I really want to get him down. And right now we are capping the enemy base fairly quickly. I disable the enforcer's weapons, don't want him to shoot me, and he begins to run. He don't wanna stay too close with both our pioneer with logistic support. He tries to jump out, of course leaves him vulnerable to attack, and he almost make it, but we actually managed to get him before he jumps out. And we are just past 50% cap on the enemy base, so we really need to push now. And it stops at 57%. Now when we just have one ship each in the enemy base. But both me and the pioneer are moving up. We're trying to get into the enemy base, trying to increase that cap rate. No one, unfortunately, right now seems to be focusing on Alpha at all. So the enemy still actually have jump access to our base, but we have such a huge lead on cap points that we should be able to outcap them if they decide to move ships to our base. That means we should outnumber them here. I get to a bit of a sticky situation here. I jump in and notice that was at a short time there. I was the only ship at the enemy base, only friendly ship at the enemy base. So I decided I'd better get the hell out of here before they begin focusing on me. I used my jump home ability, and immediately I used the normal jump to get into beta again. And now we just have to wait for the cooldown to get back in to the enemy base. They are currently, looks like 4 ships, and we have 2 ships, and we have 2 more ships incoming. We have 1 ship at Alpha trying to secure our home base, which is very, very good. And now they have all 5 ships at the enemy base. So it's time to jump in. I immediately try to figure out who's taking the most damage. It looks like the Sentinel is taking a lot of damage. He seems to be out of range. Cannot get a repair in on him. So I'm considering trying to use the station again to get in cover for as many ships as possible. That's where the Colossus arrive. Very good. I open up, disable the enemy Colossus, trying to get in the little damage that I can. Venture opens up on me, and now they begin to focus on our Colossus. He's taking a lot of damage. Even though I'm repairing him, he's still going down. And that's when I decide that we need to keep this guy alive for as long as possible. So I move in under him and open up my shield. Remember, this has an area of effect, so as long as he's close to me, this will reduce the damage that he's taking. I'm actually able to get some good repairs in 7,000 hit points repaired here. He's being disabled. I'm desperately trying to get some of the enemy ships down, especially the enemy protector. He goes down there. My shield was down, so I moved away, trying to get underneath the station, trying to still keep that Colossus alive. But again, the enemies managed to get me down before I could do anything. Now, Gamma Sector in the heat of battle has actually unlocked. Of course, the enemy team, being so focused on protecting their home base, have not paid any attention to Gamma so far. But they managed to get both me and the Colossus down, so now they should have the time to get to Gamma. But it looks like a sure victory for us at Gamma. We are at 80%. And that's when the enemy Enforcer gets in, opens his bubble. And now they're actually taking back the Gamma Sector. That was a very close, very, very good move by the enemy team there. We have more ships slowly incoming into the cap bubble. They're still winning, they're still reducing our cap points. But we have more ships incoming. The Colossus is respawning in a few seconds. I just respawned. And I'm considering here if I should stay at range or if I should go in and help with the cap. I decide to go in, and again I want to shield myself from as much incoming damage as I possibly can. I try to keep the friendly Pioneer alive, while putting in some damage on the enemy Colossus. Our friendly Colossus is spawned in the meantime, and right now it's a dead heat in the Gamma Sector. No, we actually capped it, looks like. Oh, didn't even see that. So we managed actually to cap the Gamma Sector. But right now they still seem to have the upper hand. The enemy Colossus decides to jump there. I don't know why he would do that. He was so low health. I was right next to him. He couldn't possibly have thought he would have survived that. But anyway, I decided not to stick around trying to kill the 2 last ships, because we are capping, and we are capping fast. 90%, if we can just make sure that they don't get the upper hand. 90 slowed down there for a bit, but again, they didn't manage to get back to their base quick enough, so we managed to cap it and secure the victory. So that's the Protector. A small, fast ship that if played well can really play a huge difference, especially keeping some of the bigger, heavily defended ships alive and making them almost impossible to kill. If you can keep out of your line of fire, and especially you can use that very, very fast jump animation to quickly move around the battlefield and stay where you really need to be, but also to get out of trouble in case someone finds you as an attractive target, and you often will be targeted because you are a hurdle to get over. I mean, if you have 2 equal ships and you have a protector or any other logistics ship for that matter, the ship with the protector support will of course win. So again, thanks a lot for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel. Click the subscribe button here on screen. And until next time, I'll see you in space.